Hello everyone. So Pam and I, we are going to do a very unique and special video today because I think that this is something that really opens up vulnerability in a conversation that everybody needs to hear. And so I'm going to be like super vulnerable and just share my week and what I did to move out of feeling just really defeated and vulnerable into owning my power again. So, just to start you off, I had a lot of expectations about February, what I wanted to accomplish. I had some things I wanted to remove out of my life as a way to honor God, and some other like business accomplishments that I really intended to have completed in the first few days of February. And things didn't go as planned. I was not in the greatest emotional state. I had a lot of attacks from the enemy, emotionally and physically, right? And it was a challenging start off of the new year. You know, I had all these targets for February. And Pam and I, today is Saturday the 4th, and Pam and I had planned to meet yesterday to do one of our videos for you. And, you know, I was like having a bad week, as I mentioned, was all excited about doing this video. I had myself ready to go. You know, I did my hair, I did my makeup. I had a good feeling, you know, that everything was going to flow. And Pam forgot. She totally forgot about our meeting, you know. Pam's got lots of really exciting new things going on in her world and, you know, connecting to new people. And I think she got excited about that and forgot. And so, you know, I accepted that, but it really kind of took the wind out of my sails. And I let that disappointment take me a step deeper into my storm. And, you know, well, and we'll do another. We talked about this right before we came on camera that we're going to do another video about when we forget the tools when we're in, you know, in the eye of the storm. And so when we're in the storm, I should say. But you know, but just to kind of give you an idea, like that's not how I typically operate. But I just, you know, I didn't use the tools that I know, the tools that I teach, the tools that, you know, I'm always encouraging other people to use. I was not in those tools. I was not in anything. And, you know, the enemy used Pam to really push me a step further into just the frustrations and the fears and the disappointments and the judgments I had for myself, just that one step deeper. So when Pam and I rescheduled the call for today so we could, you know, connect and have this amazing conversation with you guys, I didn't start out in the best mood, did I, Pam?
Nope. Mm-mm.
You know, I mean, I didn't come in like all huffy and mad at you because I wasn't, but I wasn't coming into my bubbly, normal, enthusiastic self either. You know, um, I I put makeup on too white. My lipstick looked crayoned. I was telling her, thank gosh that Zoom has such an amazing AI because this is not, it's coming off much better than I look in the mirror right now. So I had to overcome all these challenges to get on with Pam today, right? And it was rough. So I'm just being really transparent and vulnerable. Like I had a really dump day. Typically for me, if I have a dump minute or two or maybe 15 minutes, I can move myself out of it really fast. It's very rare that I have dump moments, but I'm telling you, and even as I talk about it, I can feel that anxiety is really trying to overpower me, you know? I mean, anybody who's ever had anxiety, they know that wave that comes in. It's like a tsunami that builds and rushes at you. And you have to decide what to do with it. If you're going to go, oh, this wave is going to take me, right? And pull me in the, what do they call that by the ocean that pulls that, is that back, not backdraft,
Well, the
but
current,
the back, yeah, the current take me back in and sweep me away, right? Or if I'm going to fight, you know, which what happens when you fight somebody who's angry? It builds that anger, right? So you go into resist, and the anger just builds and builds and builds. But there's a third way that we forget about a lot of the time because the enemy is attacking us, right? And that is that you just say no in the power of God, no. And I'm going to be honest with you, I forgot. So, it happens. It happens to all of us sometimes. And I was sitting there just kind of like, oh, and Pam came on, and I'm going to just let you tell that part so you can tell what you did for me. So maybe you can do it for others as we talk about it here.
Well, I think what's important, John, is that you realize what your power is. And you have to step back and think about the things that you're thinking, the things that you're saying, and don't allow it to take over. Don't allow it to take control. And it took you and I having a conversation that is somebody just slapping you out of it. Like, okay, hey, who are you? Whose are you? What
Yeah.
what power do you have? What happened to it? You
Well, Pam, you spoke favor over me,
mm,
right? You reminded me what God's promises are.
yeah,
You stood there, and I even wrote my notes here. Like, you reminded me that I have provision, I have favor, and that I don't need to deal with that at all. I don't have to go into resist it and get angry. I don't have to let that current take me away. I can say no in the
that's
part. And I'm
right.
like, it's like one of those I could have had a V8 moments, right?
That's what I do all the time. I force myself. You have to be intentional
Yeah. Yeah.
about
Because
not allowing yourself to spiral down through the current. You have
yeah,
to be
because when the
intentional.
enemy is attacking us,
Yeah.
you know, it's like if you were a carpenter, he took your tool belt away.
Mm,
So the tools are not apart from you. They're inside of you. God gave us the stuff in our heart and our soul to use, and our mouth to flow, right? And
mm,
every time we go outside of ourselves for things, we're feeling like we can be disarmed, right? So that doesn't mean we don't reach out and phone a friend like I did, right? I did that. I'm not saying God tells us we should be in a group, a community of people who can help build us up, right? But like I like Pam and I were discussing before we went on camera, it's like having her share that with me reminded me that I can go within and I can take that power and authority. Because the best of us, even if we are, change makers, we need reminders. How many people in the Bible needed reminders? How many people in the Bible did sin and needed correction? How many people in the Bible got lost and needed Jesus to be the one who went and got the one out of the 99 and brought them back, right? Sometimes these things happen so we can see where we're still needing leveling, right? Where we can still level up and surrender more to God. Like
and
having this conversation with you, Pam, made me remember that I have more to surrender. I have more to give Him, more to have Him be the one in charge. He is the sheep herder, right? I am just one of the sheep,
that's right.
you know,
That's,
or lamb, as I like to say, because of my
yeah,
name, right? I'm one
right.
of the little lamb, the lambkin, right? that gets to just follow Him. And that is what is such a blessing to remind me that there's more I can surrender, more I can give to keep in the flow and the power and authority through His blood. So I know you have more to add to that. Go
Well,
ahead.
I just thought about what you said about the lamb. And if you think about the lamb that follows Jesus, right? What would happen if a shepherd comes and he closes the gate and the direction that the sheep are going in and the direction that Jesus is taking them to? If there's a shepherd that comes and he closes that gate, guess what? The sheep can't follow. They're stuck right where they are. Well, the enemy is pretending to be that shepherd, closing the gate so that he can bring upon you the frustration. that prevents you from doing the things you want to do. Oftentimes we think that something has to be visible to hold us in bondage. It doesn't have to be visible, but we have to remind ourselves, we have to be intentional that the enemy is out there against us for a reason. Jennifer, are you not out there? Are you and I not out there to help people to get through the issues they're getting through, to help them to overcome the trauma, the pain, the things, that the bondage that the enemy is putting us in? Because if we can't get out of that, if we allow him to hold us back, then we'll never ever do what God placed us here on this earth to do. So he's out. The enemy is out to prevent us from doing that. So he's that gate that's closing. And we have to be so mindful that that's who's doing it. It's like you said about that VA. I do that all the time. Like, oh, that's what that is. The enemy will try to be so quiet, so cunning, and so manipulative that you don't see what he's doing. But as long as you follow the word of God and your relationship is growing every single day, the Holy Spirit is going to remind you, oh, what is that? Oh, who is that? Is that true? Is that true? And sometimes you need someone to remind you. So if you got to make a call, if you got to get out of that funk, whatever it is that you got, don't live in it by yourself. Don't drown in it. Allow somebody to throw what is the lifesaver raft out to you, that ring, whatever that is. Allow them to throw that out to you so you can grab onto it, grab hold to it, and let that person pull you out so that you can remember who you are, why you were placed here, and that the enemy wouldn't be messing with you if he didn't know something that you weren't supposed to be, that he doesn't want you to do. He doesn't want you to do that. So he's going to pull all the stops, do it, and he's going to do it in a way that if you're not careful, he's going to trick you into believing it's woe is me, woe is me. Don't hold on to that. Don't claim it. It's not you. It's him. And then you know what to do. Get thee behind me, Satan, because I'm moving forward. Don't wallow in it. Move forward.
That's right. And, sadly, we're at a time where, churches are preaching false doctrine, or they're not, they're kind of lukewarm. And so sometimes you need added support just to get lifted up, to get moved into that level of surrender, to that faith, that clarity, that healing, to really get the tools for the healing. There's things that the church won't touch. They won't speak about it. They won't talk about it, even if it's written in the Bible, which just astounds me. But there are people like Pam and I who are willing to like take you there and lead with you and use the biblical principles and help move you to that next level. So, does that mean we're perfect and we don't have bad days? No, gosh, we're not. If that's your litmus test, then you're never going to find anybody
Never.
to support you. I think the pertinent part about us telling you this is like we're all on this journey,
Yeah.
and we're going to move forward, and through the strength of our determination, that's how we're going to help lift everybody up. And we find people of like minds to lift up and support. We lean on each other in these hard times, and we find ways to have biblical truths come in and take us to that next level, to break off the bondage, to cut out the roots right from, cut out the weeds right from the roots, to step into our true power and promises through his blood. So I'm really honored to share with you guys that, I had a bad day and I've been vulnerable, and, is it easy to talk about? Sometimes it's not, but in this moment, I'm not feeling ashamed or embarrassed to have this conversation, because the truth is that we all need to be lifted up. And if you're looking for somebody to lift you up, we can help you get you further. Or and if we're not your flavor, go find somebody who can lift you up, right? That's what I always say. If no matter what anybody says about somebody, they have to resonate with you. They have to connect with you.
Yeah, let me just say this, because have you ever talked to someone, or you tried to confide in someone, pour your heart out, and you left that conversation like, wow, that was flat.
Yeah.
That I got nothing out of that.
Yeah.
If you don't leave a conversation such as the one that Jennifer and I are having, where you feel uplifted, you feel empowered, you feel like you got your power back, then baby, you need to talk to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're trying to like fit a square peg in a round hole,
Mm,
you know, what, one thing that I've noticed through my journey, coming from a Christian foundation, I say that loosely, to 22 years in the new age, and then back to really renewing and establishing my faith. One thing I've noticed is that, through my journey and people that I connect with and groups that I've associated with, like if they don't know God, like they can't help me. And it doesn't matter if I'm talking about my business, if I'm talking about, my personal relationships, my journey, my emotional or my trauma healing or whatever it is, they can't really help me because they've got false doctrine in there. Their energy is
mm,
twisted. So if you're trying to reach out and get lifted up in your business, in your personal life or whatever, and you're doing it to somebody with somebody who doesn't believe the way that you do, they're never going to be able to take you next level. They can fill your mind with a lot more information, but you're not bringing your spirit with you. And so you're
mm,
always going to end up, God's going to bring you right back to where you left your spirit behind on the
mm,
journey.
mm,
So, take that into consideration. That was a lesson I learned the hard way, you know.
mm,
And if I'm being completely transparent, there's still, one person in my in my group of supporters that isn't, and I'm seeing that on a regular basis, and I know that that is something that's going to have to break off of me for me to move. I'm not going to mention it anymore, but that they have a lot of brilliancy, but they don't have a relationship,
mm.
and if they do, it's not there's something that's not 100% on point there. I don't
And
know.
that's a litmus test. It
Yeah.
really is. And it's not a
Know
question.
you by your fruits, right?
Right, right. It's not a question you have to ask anyone. Before we have this conversation, do you? Mm-mm. You have to pay attention. You have to listen. You have to
Yeah.
let the spirit guide you on whether there is a peace about
Hmm.
something or there's conflict.
Yeah.
If your spirit just doesn't sit right with it, that's God trying to tell you something. You
Yeah.
need to be with someone that's going to make you feel joyful, that's going to make you feel optimistic and give you a peace about the direction that you're going in, not more conflict.
Yeah, and anywhere, I mean, my personal, like my mantra, I guess, that's unspoken in my heart is that if I'm not contributing to the kingdom, it doesn't work for me. It's not right for me. And I've watched a bunch of relationships, a bunch of business associations, a bunch of people break off. And I can't continue on with it. And it's not because I'm pushing them away, like, oh, what's that song? Um, that, I don't know, I can't, I'm so bad at, I'm so bad at this.
Because that's what I want.
My whatever is better than yours. My milkshake is better. That's the song that comes to
Oh,
mind.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's not like I'm better than you or you're better. It's not. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with like everything that I do. I want it to be building up God's kingdom, and if I'm connected to things that are going the opposite direction, or neutralizing His power, to me, that's not contributing to His kingdom. And for me, you know every year that I've been in my relationship with God, which is kind of a wake up call in 2019 and in a lightning bolt in 2020, and now I'm like almost 3 years in April. It'll be 3 years where I had my lightning bolt moment. um every single year I've noticed that that becomes more and more important. you know like it becomes paramount for me to continue to grow spiritually because I'm breaking
Absolutely.
off all of the bondage and the chains of the things that are not filling up His cup. So, I just wanted to be really clear on that because it's not about us versus them. It is about is this contributing to God? And if it isn't, then it's doing the opposite.
Absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
gap in the world is the divide is becoming wider. So if you're kind of trying to step on each ledge, you can only do the splits for so long and then you fall through. And I have no interest in falling through. So just for anybody who needed to hear that, like if you find that you're connected in ways that aren't contributing to the kingdom, you might want to look at that and see what's what's here that I wasn't willing to see before because I
Mhm.
was in my mind instead of in my heart or my soul.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm doing it too. I'm taking those steps.
We all are.
Yeah.
We really are. We just have to identify it where we are.
So thank you, Pam. Thank you for being, a sister in Christ and really like reminding me who I am today. You
Well, you
know?
helped me too. Another thing is that sometimes it's not about the reminder, it's about a confirmation.
Yeah.
It's amazing when you talk to someone, a situation that I'm going through. I talked to Jen and she just, God spoke to her about what I was going through. And it was confirmation. It gave me a perspective that was confirmation that I had heard the day before.
Yeah. Yeah. That word validated everything that
Oh yeah, there's
God's
nothing
been
like
telling you.
having that done for you. There's someone that's speaking into your life that has the privilege. It's a privilege to speak into your life.
Mm.
That privilege you have to be very careful. You can't just let everybody have that privilege.
Ooh, that's another good point. I don't know if we want to. We'll tiptoe on this. We won't take it too far because I want to make sure this video stays shorter. We'll have a couple indulging long ones, but mostly we'll make them more consumable, right? But whew, this is a big one. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna
Okay.
save it, and
Okay.
I'm doing
Heavy.
that intentionally because I
Okay.
feel like I don't want to leave anybody hanging.
Okay.
So we'll save it for another video. Sorry, guys. Don't mean. That's
Stay tuned.
yeah, exactly. All right. So thank you, Pam.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
sharing with me and supporting me and always,
Always.
you know, being a part of letting people move in the spirit with us. So thanks so
Absolutely.
much. Until
Absolutely.
next time. See you then.